Everybody be seated, please. Be sure and turn off your phones. Everybody in? Okay. Just in the beginning, I'm going to tell you at the end of the class, don't rush the stage. I know they're rock stars, but don't rush the stage. They're going to want to get a photo of them together. So if you could just remain seated after it, then we'll let you know when to come up and talk to the artists. I'm introducing Ida Tentolini. 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 My bad. My bad. She started to develop her passion for drawing and painting from an early age, and therefore she chose to attend the Palo Tos,
Yeah.
Palo Tosci Art Institute in Parma to deepen my preparation by graduating as an art teacher. After a period of research between the different painting techniques, I discovered and started to experience the wonderful but difficult art of watercolor, as we all know. Since 2000, I have dedicated myself exclusively to this technique for many unknowns, but it fascinates me. Nature and its many engaging and poetic aspects are an important source of inspiration for me. I have participated in numerous national and international exhibitions and events in France, Belgium, Cairo, Mexico City, Lausanne, and more recently in a selection for a world exhibition in 2014 held in Narbonne, France. Since 2005, I've been a member of AIA, which is the Italian Association of Watercolors, in Milan. And since 2014, I've been in Arte in Fabriano.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Laura. First of all, sorry for my voice. The cold and the heat makes a lot of dead people. I'm surviving anyway. Thank you very much to welcome. You welcome the Italian group very well, and we feel a lot of love. So I thank you for Anna Massinissa and for all our group. We thank you so much, really. It was a great experience. This time we came to you. Usually you come to Fabriano on Bologna. So it was nice, this beautiful exchange. And this is what art is doing. Talking about myself very quickly because I have a beautiful lady with me painting in a different way. So you will see two different techniques. One hyperrealism and one absolutely free. It becomes from my soul. It becomes from my heart. It's an emotional way of painting. So I have no reference photo. I tell you a little story. I live in the North Italy among a beautiful big river, River Po, that cross the big flat, okay? We have a lot of mosquito though, but we have also very nice scenery. So think about autumn. So the warm color, the sundown. Think about a very simple, I don't know the name in English, row of trees. Is that correct? Okay. That makes such a beautiful scenery in different shade. And beside, you can see the sundown with every night is different shade. So what I'm going to introduce you, it's my land. And I'm going to do it with a very free technique. I'm going to use very big brushes. And I ask you a favor. I'd be very glad to answer everything you want at the end. Because my technique is wet on wet. So I cannot stop and answer every time. It could be a mess for me. Okay? I hope you understand. But I'd be very glad to answer anything you want. And if I have time, because usually I'm very quick, I may do another one. Let's see. Let's see. We don't know. So I leave Drew. Your word is your time, and I'm start working. Okay. Thank you very much.
It's my honor to welcome Drew Jernigan. Is a watercolor artist based in Kaneohe, Hawaii, otherwise known as Honolulu, whose work is shaped by her background in interior design and over 3 decades of travel with a military spouse. Known for her bold, realistic style, Drew's award-winning pieces have been exhibited both nationally and internationally and are featured in private collections. She's an active member of numerous watercolor societies, including Hawaii, Pennsylvania, Georgia, North Carolina, Alabama, National and American Water Societies. Welcome, Drew Jernigan. Is that right?
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I can't tell you. I've been preparing for this day for months, and I'm very happy to be here. I want you to look at what I have on the table here because I think that this shows a certain style of artist. My style is very tight, I have my notes here, I have my charts, I have my things and whatever. And Ida has, is much more free with hers. And the point is that there's no right way to do it. Everybody has their own style. Everybody has their own thing that they're comfortable with. And so I would call myself a watercolor nerd. I really geek out on all of the swatching everything and stuff like that. But so today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the colors and things like that. But I wanted to start with my reference photo and to kind of tell you about why I chose what I chose. So the painting that I have out here is Tootsie Rolls. And who all knows what a who's never had a Tootsie Roll? Anybody never had a Tootsie Roll? Okay. Well, I have some right here. These are we'll pass these around. And so you can get familiar with that, get a little sugar rush, and remember that you really don't like Tootsie Rolls. And nobody likes Tootsie Rolls, but you have to try them anyway. But, just 2 mornings ago when we listened to the magazine editors, one of the things that was mentioned was trends, and she mentioned nostalgia. Well, I didn't even know that was a trend, but that is one of the reasons that I chose this subject, was because it's nostalgic. People like to eat candy and they like to remember being a kid. So for this reference photo, I actually I take all of my reference photos, and I love to take pictures. My husband is very long-suffering, and anywhere we go, he waits for a long time while I take pictures. But we were in Colorado Springs, and I found a barrel. We were in a general store, and there was a barrel of candy, several barrels, and found these Tootsie Rolls. And I took a picture. So the original picture was very large. It had a ton of Tootsie Rolls in it. And so I spent some time going through and zeroing in on all these different vignettes of Tootsie Rolls until I found something that I felt was a nice composition. And so this is a variation on a theme. What you'll see out there is bigger, and it looks very different from this. But anyway, I wanted to show you this. When I start, I usually like to have a few different reference photos to work from. The first one is black and white, and this gives me kind of a value study. It helps me to understand where are my whitest whites, where are my grays, my mid-tones, and my darkest darks. Because sometimes our eyes can fool us with color, and it's hard to determine. Then the next one I do, this is this is everything that I do, I put it into Photoshop and I mess around with it. Um, but this is pretty well saturated with the darks, the shadows. I've really kind of exaggerated the shadows some to get that in there. You know, I was working with natural light here. It was coming in through a window, but I kind of had to emphasize that a little bit more. And then this one, I just went nuts on Photoshop, and you know, what can I do? Super saturate this. Choose, you know, blow this out a little bit. And so this one looks a little crazy. I don't know if you can see it, but there are a lot of different colors in this. And what it did was having this. There are greens, there's blues, there's reds, there's oranges. And so what this did was, before I even started, it gave me an idea of colors that I could use, because this is a fairly monochromatic scheme right here. But when I'm looking at what do I want to do with this, I don't want to just depict some Tootsie Rolls. I want to make it sing. I want to make it do something fun and exciting. And so this gave me an idea of what colors I could bring into that. Let's see. I have my notes here that I'm gonna keep referencing. A couple things about the composition here. What was I looking for when I was zooming in to get that composition? One of the first things was this rule of odds, and that says that 1, 3, 5, 7 are more pleasing to the eye aesthetically, and people just like those better. So I like this because I have 3 major Tootsie Rolls here, and I have 2.5, but they're kind of minor. But my main ones, I have 3, so that's pretty pleasing. And then there's also the rule of thirds, or the golden mean, and that means that you would draw a line here and here, and here and here, and your intersection is your focal point. And so my focal point is right here. And I could also look at this, though, with as a Fibonacci sequence, or a golden spiral. That's another compositional thing that you can look for, and that brings your eye from the top of the painting around and kind of brings it to here. So you're kind of looking around this painting as you go. So I like the idea of taking something really simple, something pedestrian that you don't think too much about, and elevating it to art and seeing beauty in everything. Yes, I liked this shape. Yeah, kind of this round shape here, and yeah, thank you. Let's see. Then I wanted to talk a little bit about my color choices here. Since I told you that I'm a nerd, I like to do all the stuff. I went through and I figured out which colors I wanted to use by spending a lot of time trying different things out. And so I just went, tried stuff out, for the Tootsie Roll. Okay, what if these darks? What if I do this color? What if I do that color? So that just kind of gives you an idea of things that you can do, because watercolor paper is expensive. And so anything that you can do to plan ahead with your composition so that you have that right, or for your color choices, that's going to just help you have a better final product. So I'm going to go over the colors that I'm going to use here. I have a primary triad, which is a red, which is pyrrole red, indanthrone blue, and burnt orange. And I'm using some other colors in here. I have cobalt turquoise light and burnt umber, neutral tint, pyrrole orange, and quinacridone red also that I'm using. But these are my main 3 colors, and I'm going to use these 3 colors also for my shadows. So this is the red, the quint burnt orange, and the indanthrone blue. I put those together and I can make a base shadow. So you'll see that I've already mixed up a lot of my paints here, but that is when I pull that paint out, it's going to be this base shadow. So then if I want to change the temperature or the bias, I can add a little bit more red or any of those colors, and I can make it warmer or cooler or change that around. So I find these charts to be very helpful to me because you make them once and then you have them, and then you don't have to go back and say, well, gee, what what do I get if I do these colors? So it's very helpful, and I will start painting, I promise. But I think that it's good to kind of go over some of those things. You'll notice that I have a lot of masking fluid on this. All of this yellow that is kind of shiny is masking fluid, and I like to use the Incredible White masking fluid. It's in a white bottle with the blue writing on it. And I also, you may have been here, if you were here to hear Carrie Waller, I also use a ruling pen, which is right here. So this ruling pen helps me to control the masking fluid, and I like this one. If you find one, you want to get one that opens up like this, so that you can clean it out. But sometimes I will also use a brush, and I just use some soap, some like ivory soap. So I've masked out everything here that I want to preserve, either because it is a white and I want it to stay white, or because I want to treat it in some kind of a special way and to make it a certain color, but it's in the middle of something else, and I find that it might be hard to preserve. So I'm gonna do two different ways of doing things. Some of my paints I'm gonna mix on the paper. So I'm gonna use them straight out of the the color wells here, and put them right on there together and let them mingle. And then others, like my grays, I'm gonna mix those and then put them on. And then so you'll see some of that. So without further ado, I'll get started. And you can certainly ask questions. I'll try to pat my head and rub my tummy at the same time. So, but anyway, I'm going to try to work on these two. Another thing about this kind of painting is that it just takes a long time. And so I do not want people in here crying tears of boredom because I'm doing the same thing over and over again. So I'm going to try to start with just these two that I'm going to focus on. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start with underpainting, and I'm going to use my Indanthrone blue and my cobalt turquoise light, and I'm going to also use quinacridone rose, and I'm going to put those on, and it's going to look really weird, but we'll start with that. So the Indanthrone blue that I'm putting on, this is going to help me define my shadows right here. I'm going to come back over later, and you'll see I'll put color on there. Did I get the right color? That's hard to see. So I'm going to have a shadow, but I'd like my shadow to go all the way from the brown wrapper to the red. I'd like for it to all be about the same. Now, there are many ways to skin a cat, and you've talked to another artist, they're going to do it a different way. But for this painting, I've kind of enjoyed doing this. So that's my shadow. This has kind of a hard edge, so I'm going to put a little line of water right here outside of it. And then I'm going to come up and touch that edge, and you'll see that it starts to come down some. So, and I don't want it to come down that much, so I'm going to turn it upside down. Going here with this. Ida, how are you doing?
Fine,
Okay, just one question.
no problem.
Just one question. Okay. So,
She was asking me, "Are you nervous?" I said, "No. Finally, I can paint. I've been, I've been running for 5 days, so." Talking about when they tell me, "How is your work?" This is not a work. This is a passion. If you do it because you love it, so you're happy. You go out of this beautiful world that sometimes is so hard on you. So you create your own world, and you feel better. You relax. Drew,
yes.
we have a problem
Uh-oh, what's the problem?
because I'm almost finished.
Oh,
So
Ida. You brought more paper, right? Keep going, Ida. We need more paintings, right? More paintings, more paintings. Okay. That's a record. So, wow. I have to see this.
Another-
Wow.
Thank you.
That's gorgeous. Yes. That's beautiful.
You come with me.
Oh. All right. Wow.
It's still very wet. I cannot just
Yeah.
bring it in front of you, but you can come later. Okay?
Wow.
She did.
Wow.
She counted.
Okay. Okay, you are. She is the. Welcome to the
Yes, I have
tortoise and the
another
hare
one. I have
show.
another. So I
Wow.
will leave this one. Yeah. Can I, Drew? Drew, can I put it here?
Oh yes, please. That's fine. Okay.
Okay. What you saw doing me, it's like I told you, it's very, very inside of me. And the freedom that this is a very personal thing, but I want to share it with you. I started as an artist with the very academic style. I was afraid of water. I went little by little touch because I couldn't manage the water. And I went on I've been painting for about, especially watercolor, for about 24 years. But I paint every day, absolutely every day. My husband can tell that sometimes I forget that it's dinner time. And he's very good, he's waiting until I'm finished. But sometimes you have part of your life that is very hard on you. And it was, sorry, I had a great pain. Heart healed that pain. I did 56, 76 centimeter painting every day. Every stroke, some of my pain was coming out. So this is really, I can tell you personally, it's art therapy. That's why you feel good when you paint. You paint because you leave everything out of your world. So I really suggest you to go on. Don't be afraid to make mistake. Don't be afraid not to use a pencil instead of another one. Anything is good to paint. Look what I'm using. I bought this from the Chinese people, the one that they use to fix the walls. Anything can. Once I was on a boat and I used the knife of the captain to make the scratch. You don't be afraid that not to have the perfect color or the perfect instrument. It doesn't really matter. If you want to do it, do it. It comes maybe better next time. It doesn't matter. You just do it, do it, do it. And you take away all your pain or your trouble or anything that bothers you in life. Really, for me, it was a very, very important step. And this one happened 3 years ago. So I'm doing this type of painting since 3 years ago because I was changing little by little, but I was in a comfort zone, like you probably all do. I don't want to use so much paper or big size. I don't want to use too much water because I cannot control it. Leave it. What happened? It's one sheet of paper and some color. Doesn't matter. No one will tell you anything. Okay, so be free. And enjoy what you're doing. If you enjoy it, everything is beautiful. Do not make any comparison between master or students. It doesn't matter. It has to be for you, for yourself. You're welcome.
Thank you, Ida. I completely agree with that. Art is something that's very subjective. And oh, I'm sorry. Okay. But art is something that's very subjective. And so, you know, you should do what makes you happy and what you enjoy doing and not worry about what other people think about it. Um, you know, at the end of the day, you're the one who's this is how you're spending your time, and however you enjoy doing it is great. Um, um, this would usually take
let me
maybe about a
wash
week.
all of them.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
And of course, I wouldn't be painting quite this fast. So I'm going to use a heat gun here, and this is another thing where some people will say, "Oh, you should use a heat gun," and some people say, "Oh, you shouldn't use a heat gun, especially when you have a lot of masking fluid on here." I was just ignorant and didn't realize any of that stuff, and so I started out with this. But one thing I will say is that heat guns come in different heat levels, and you can get some that will just burn a hole through your page. So you don't want to do that. You want to get a low heat gun if you get one. And I want to find the one that Kathleen Giles has because hers is so quiet. So I'm going to be looking for that next. Okay, well, I want to find that. So.
Ti è piaciuto? Mattia, ti è piaciuto? Bello quello lì. Thank you, Laura. No, it's okay.
Yes.
640, yeah, this is the maximum you can have. Because when you use a lot of water, it's better to have the thicker size. This is Fabriano soft soft press. Yeah, thank you.
Full press?
No.
So, yes, I really got involved with watercolor during COVID, and it's kind of the same thing as Ida, that everybody was looking for something to do during that time, and I've always been kind of artsy craftsy person, and I was actually very inspired by Carrie Waller's work. I love to see she just does an amazing job with bringing light, and I had just never seen anything like what she does, and so um, that was kind of my inspiration, and that was the first class that I took was through Carrie, and then I just had tons of time and watched all the YouTube videos and all the styles, um, but watercolor, I've had a lot of phases in my life of basket making and stamping and different types of things and acrylics, different pastels, so a lot of different, but this is one of the things that's really that's stuck with me, that I'm sticking with, I would say. um, so yeah, so this is my um, quinacridone rose by Daniel Smith, and I'm gonna put that right over the blue. And the reason that I'm doing this is because it's going to give me an underpainting that um, is going to give me my lightest light in this. And I'm just putting it over the whole stripe also to map out where these stripes are. So when I'm doing this whole painting, what I would probably do is go through and map out find all of my like things. So I would do all my blue stripes, all my other color stripes. I also wanted to talk about the teal um, highlight that you see in here. Obviously, in the reference photo, there's no teal highlight. In fact, there's really not a highlight in here. Um, but uh, but to make the painting more dramatic and give it more interest, I really emphasized what is a highlight. You can see the white here. So this is a highlight, and so I put those in these other places. Um, so I spent a lot of time figuring out, well, I've already painted this many times, but what kind of colors can I use that, how would this look if I did it in different colors and shades, and so I just did that. I got my things out, and that's what the boards on the back behind me are showing, is just painting the same subject, but giving it a different twist every time. And just to see what kind of happens. To make it warmer, you can make it cooler. There's some stuff that you go, nope, 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 this doesn't work at all. You're probably looking at some of those going, wow, that's garish, that's awful. Some of them work a little bit better, but that's kind of how I worked out, what do I like? But there are a lot of different ways that you could do it. Also, I think it's a good example of seeing that you can paint the same subject over and over again, and it's not going to look the same. You're not going to always get the same thing. You're not going to put every brush stroke in the same place, and that's good. You can experiment, and you are the boss of your painting. You get to decide what you're going to do with it, and it's good to experiment. You can imagine that I'm I'm pretty organized and things like that. So it's a good thing for me to get out and say, let's try a different color. Let's try a different take on this, because my natural self wants to just paint, very close to what it is. But I find that that I can really if I let myself ask questions about, what could this look like, and what would happen if I tried these different colors, then it's kind of like Bob Ross. You find these happy little accidents and find things that you like. In fact, that's how I came about this teal color. is that, I was just giving it a try and I ended up liking it. So, Mike, how much time do I have?
That's a problem, Mike. I need more paper.
You need more paper. Oh, we happen to
You
have
do.
paper people here.
You know, this has happened every time. Instead of one painting, I have to make it 4. I'm too quick. I have to adjust my time. But this is serious. It's happened all the time. Yeah, but I cannot slow down. That's the problem. Winsor and Newton with a few Daniel Smith that I just found. I have the transparent orange, okay? Then we had the rosa pink, okay? And the brown mother, that's also very nice color. But they are quite similar to the Daniel Smith. They're comparing, they're very, very close. Maybe Daniel Smith has a more granulation, but I love to have a very transparent color usually. And this one, this paper, is very, very good. I find myself very comfortable. But always, it's a personal, you have to choose what you feel comfortable with. It's not because other people use one paper or one color. You have to feel okay. If you feel okay, everything is okay. This one, Chinese, goat hair. It's a gift from a friend.
I don't know if you can see from there, but um, there's some blooms and some blossoms in there and a lot of water, and it doesn't look very good. But this is my underpainting. This is just something that is going to be shining through. The blue is going to be shining through. And I'm working fast. So normally I wouldn't have giant blooms like that, but I'm not worried about it because I'm going to be putting something over it. So here we are with these, and forgive me if I'm sure there are plenty of artists who know all of these things, but I like to, as a former teacher, I like to just not assume that everybody knows anything. But when you're drying your paper and you're in between, you want to, if you touch your paper, especially with the with the tender part of your hand, if it's cool, then you should leave it alone. Don't touch it. Don't be. It's watercolor is something that you have to use all of your self-control for, because you want to continue, you want it to keep going, you're excited about it, and you have to wait for a minute and you have to wait for it to dry. But that's why that's why the dryers are so good. But if you start, if I had something here that I did not want to have blooms in or blossoms in, and I went in when it was still a little bit wet underneath, I would get those. So you don't want to do that. So the next thing I'm going to start on is my the red part of my wrappers, and I'm going to use Pyrrole Red for that. Pyrrole Red is a transparent and staining red, and it's a nice bright red, and Tootsie Rolls have a nice bright red to them. So I'm going to start with that, and this is what I was talking about of putting, I'm going to do some color mixing on the paper here. Now I have my shadow that's going through here, my highlight, and so I'm going to try to match this highlight on this side. And, again, another artist would do this a different way. They would just go straight down and they would be done with it. But this is what works for me. Again, I'm coming with this clean water down here and kind of tickling the edge of that to get a nice soft edge, and that's going to be part of my highlight. And then I'm going to come back around and do the same thing on this side. I'm using a number 6 round. It's a silver black velvet. Oh no, I'm sorry, an 8 round. It's a silver black velvet, and these are my absolute favorite brushes. Oh, thank you. My favorite brushes. It's kind of my go-to, and I would say that I use the 6 or the 8 most of the time for these kind of paintings. You can get in there. The silver black velvet has a very nice tip to it, so you can use it for smaller little detail things too, so you don't have to switch too much between brushes. One of the things about watercolor is water control. And that's one of the most frustrating things for me. And, but it's something that as you put miles on your paintbrush, it starts to be more intuitive. So, but you want to try to, so now you can kind of see that we're getting a highlight there. Also, this Tootsie Roll has this weird little thing right here. And the weird little thing, I don't know what it is. The wrapper is doing something funny. But I put it in there because that's how it is. And I also put it in there because it gives me an opportunity to have this broken up a little bit. The Tootsie Rolls broken up a little bit because they're big fields of things. So I don't really know what's going on with that. If you look at it, so I just treat that as shapes and objects, and I don't really worry about what it is. But from the reference photo, it's somehow it's folded funny. Now down here, oh my goodness, this is a record. Let me see this one too. Oh wow.
Do you like it?
That's gorgeous.
This is for you.
Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you. Thank you. That is so sweet. Thank you, Ida.
She lives in Hawaii.
That is gorgeous.
Oh, those are flowers.
Wow. That's just beautiful. Thank you. That reminds me of the passion flower in Hawaii. So
exactly. Still wet, so let's wait a little bit. Let's check the other one if I can just pull it up. I'm getting smaller, okay? Don't ask me too much. It's fine. No, no, really. I don't want to disturb Drew.
You will not disturb me at all. Whatever you need to do is perfectly
Sí,
fine.
cucú.
But I find painting to be very relaxing. I can
No, still
spend
wet.
9 or 12 hours a day painting
We have to wait.
and take a couple of breaks, maybe, to eat.
Fatto qualche foto.
But that's how you know that you found something that's really a passion, is if you won't eat. You'll keep going and decide that you're going to keep on with this. Now, I also, if I was doing this whole painting, I mixed up some larger amounts of this indanthrone blue and also of the burnt umber because I'm impatient and I don't want to spend my time mixing it up. And also, I don't want to try to guess about the consistency of my paint. And this way, I know what the consistency is of this large amount of paint. So, anyway, now here, I'd like for this to be a little bit darker, this red, and so I'm going to add a little bit more of my indanthrone blue to the red. This is something that I got at the dollar store. It's just a tiny, in fact, it's from a Japanese dollar store called Daiso that we have. But you could get any kind of, yeah, I think there's Daiso in California. I think you can find any kind of small container, and I find that if I mix up something like this, you know, then I don't want to get rid of it. But you could probably keep this for a couple weeks. Maybe people could keep it for longer, but I I just wouldn't want it to get mold in it or something like that. But
It's working?
this is indanthrone blue, and
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so here I'm just darkening up that red a little bit. And again, I am painting at lightning speed, you guys. You're going to look at this and you're going to say, that looks awful. And that's because I don't do this. I spend a lot more time working on stuff. But for these purposes, this is good. Oh, there was something that someone just said that reminded me of something to bring up. Indanthrone blue, and I'm going to be using burnt umber, but it's just that's going to be my color that I'm going to put over there. Yeah. When you mix a large amount of paint, one technique that I learned from Lana Privatera. I don't know if you know of her. If you don't, you need to get on Instagram and follow her right now. She's great. But for making a large amount of paint, we want to be careful not to get clumps of paint in there. And sometimes if you put your tube of paint, you put your little dot of paint on there, you can miss some clumps. So I'll show you in just a second the way that I do it so that I make sure I don't get any of those clumps in there. Because with watercolor, a little clump of watercolor goes a long way, and it turns into something really big. So, again, I'm going to add more of my shadow over here because it's not dark enough. And I'm just adding that indanthrone blue to the red and letting it mingle right there. I'm going to do the same thing right down here. All right, so now, as I'd already finished with another painting. Oh. That's great. It's kind of like if you have curly hair or if you have straight hair, you wish you had the other one. And so I think painting tight and painting loose, it's everybody looks at the other one and says, "Wow, I wish I could do that." So it's just amazing to watch. Lots of fun.
It's a lavender with some blue, cobalt, violet.
So this is what I was talking about. I don't know if you can see in this container, but I've put a little dot. Anyway, I've put the dot up here towards the lip of my container instead of putting it down on the bottom of my container. And that way, then I put some water in there. I have a dropper. These little droppers are great because watercolor is all about water control, and you want to know how much water you're putting in there. So you can eke it out a little bit at a time or put however much you want. So this is my little best friend right here. But you put your bead of paint up here towards the lip, then you put your water inside the well, and then you bring the water up to this little bead. And so I don't know if you can see this at all, but you bring the water up to the bead, and then you make sure that you're getting it all really mixed in there very well. And it will end up being fairly thick, but then you can add more water as needed to that. And then if you find out that you have too much, then you haven't wasted all that paint. You don't have it in your well. But again, there's nothing new under the sun, and everybody knows how to do what they know how to do because they've learned it from somewhere and someone, and that was something that Lana taught me, Lana Privatera. All right, so now I'm going to work on making the Tootsie Roll, the brown part of the Tootsie Roll. Now, in the reference photo, it's very black and it's kind of flat as far as color goes. And so I'm going to use burnt umber, but I'm also going to bring in some Quin burnt orange. And that's just going to make it lighter. It's going to be lighter than this, but you know what? I am the boss of my painting, right? And so I'm going to put that in there. And these I'm going to be mixing on the paper as well. And I'm also, there might be some places in here that I feel are not quite dark enough with my shadows. And so I'm going to add more Indanthrone blue. I don't know if you've noticed on my palette, I have an out of place purple here. That's because I put it on at the very last minute. This Windsor Violet Dioxazine purple. Anyway, that's another color that I can add in there to darken it. Now, the reason that I chose this color of teal, the cobalt turquoise light, I actually was originally going to go with a different turquoise from M. Graham, but I chose this one because when I went through my swatch colors, which have all the information about my paints, this cobalt turquoise light was highly staining, and I don't want this middle section to move around. Now again, another artist would do this a different way, but this is how I'm doing it, and I'm trying to preserve this color here. So I chose a color that is that I know that the properties are going to make it do more of what I want it to do. I feel like I am like zipping along here, so but then I clearly am not, so I spend a lot of time on my line drawing, and I use a program called Procreate, and I use this little pen right here. You could use an Apple pen or whatever. This is only $50, so I chose this. It's called the Adonit Dash, ADONIT dash 4. And I'm sure there's something else out there, whatever you like to use on yours. But again, I'm impatient, and what I found is that I do my line drawing on Procreate, and then I can make it any size I want, and then I get that printed off. So it lets me have very precise line drawings. And if you want to do something that is going to be realistic, then you have to start with a very good drawing, and you have to start with so that you have every little notice on your paper of what you're supposed to do. So I do put things on there, in my drawing. I'm careful to note, where I think I'm going to do my masking, and, any little line that I think, oh, gee, I need to pay attention because this is going to curve here or something. And anything that I can do to give myself a map that can help me in my painting. I like to do that. So I also make my own tracing paper. And I actually, Carrie Waller taught me how to make my own tracing paper, and this is a godsend because you can make it any size you want, and it's not waxy. A lot of times, the tracing paper or the graphite paper that you buy in the stores, like especially if you get it from Hobby Lobby or somewhere like that, is very waxy, and it's hard to remove the graphite if you've drawn on there and then you want to get rid of something. It can be really hard to do. Well, with this making your own paper, it comes right off because it's actually graphite, it's just pencil graphite. So um, no, you take stick graphite, sticks of it, and you get something like, would you say a 6B? Or yeah, something that's soft, and you get a piece of tracing paper and make it, get it whatever size you want, and then you take your graphite and put it sideways and rub it all over there and just put tons of it on there. Get newspapers underneath or something because you're going to make a giant mess. But put tons of that on there, and then you take a cotton ball with some rubbing alcohol on it, and you go over the graphite, and amazingly, it just seals it into the paper. You lightly wipe it, and you kind of wipe it. I wipe it in lines, straight lines. You could use a paper towel or a cotton ball or whatever, but you put a pretty good amount on there. And rubbing alcohol dries very quickly, and there you go. You've got it. So you use, yes, if you go to the art store, you can you can just find usually packages or maybe or even individual. You can just find, and you want the softer ones because you want some of the we want it to be able to transfer, right? But you don't want it to be really hard to handle. But the great thing about it is it also very sustainable. I've had this piece of paper for probably 2 years, and keep using the same piece of paper. Same. So you don't have to buy any more. Okay. Yeah, I think so. No, I haven't. So I have 30 minutes left. Okay. So this kind of gives you a very general idea of what I would do to do one Tootsie Roll. And then for my shadows, that's where I would add my triad. But you'll see that on the next thing that I have. So I'm going to do the Julia Child cooking show version here, and where I just happen to have a much more finished version of this. Okay, and I heard somebody ask if I'm using a board, and I am. It's just super tiny. This is actually the piece of cardboard that that was my block. I'm using 300-pound paper here, and this was out of necessity because I had to get it in my suitcase. So anyway, it's just around there, but very small. But it's nice because you can move everything very easily. It's cold pressed paper, and
No.
I use arches mostly, and I also use I've had a lot of good success with Kilimanjaro, and Cheap Joe's sells that. And one thing that you can do is if you go on the different art supply websites, they have variety packs. So you can buy a pack of, and try all the different kinds of paper, and get something where you've got one piece of each and give them a try, because you might find that your painting changes a little bit, or you just have a preference for a certain paper. So here we've got a little bit better here, but I've taken off the masking fluid, and now I have it leaves this very stark white, which it is a white on there, but I need to shade here, and I need to just make sure that you can feel the roundness, the volume of what I have here. And also I need to darken up some of my things here, some of my lines. So I'm just gonna start detailing.
I was thinking that since time is short, if you don't mind, I can answer some questions
Yes.
about the work I've done.
Please do.
Okay?
Yep.
So, Drew, you want to take your work and do what we thought about from the beginning? You want
Well,
to share?
I'm
You are
not
not finished?
No.
But we do it at the end anyway.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, this is the first work, okay? Thank you. Thank you. See, this is what comes out from my, my feeling, my emotion. Thank you. Scare me. I was managing, and well, you saw already the flowers. that it's for Drew. But I want to explain something. Leave it like this, it's okay. It will stay there. No needs to do much for a dry day in my plane when the heat doesn't show you a blue sky, but a very like a foggy colors. And it's very simple. You can do it every day. You learn how to balance color. You learn how to mix color. So this is really something that everybody can try. Most of the time, my students don't know what they have on the palette. So if you do exercise like this, you learn how to be very clean. Most of the time, you should learn to take away detail, not to add detail. We are so scared not to reproduce photos like the way they are. No, that's only an idea. And then you have to elaborate by yourself and take what you like and leave everything else. It can be too many trees, it can be too many detail of a house. We don't have to do everything. We give you an idea, we give you a sensation, an emotion. So this one can be a very good exercise for everybody to learn how to shade, how much water you want to use. If you balance your piece of paper, it comes like this. It won't be the same the first time. It doesn't matter. You do it another time with other shades. So this is the rule. Work, work, work. Okay? I hope you can see the color. But at the end, you can come and see all the color, okay? When Drew is finished. So thank you anyway. Now I'm done. I really don't have time.
So here I'm doing my shading, and light is always bouncing around in life in general. It's always bouncing, and so you want to try to notice that in your pictures, and you want to try to emphasize that. So right here, my I've added some. I've got this shadow, even though the rest of them are more gray. I've added my pyrrole red to that because it's bouncing off of this. So there's a lot of things that you can get that are just by noticing the colors that are around them and what they're bouncing off of. You can get a lot of interest in your painting that way. A lot of times when you put your paintbrush in the well, and it's saturated with water, and so if you don't want it to have that much, then one of the things you can do is take your paper towel and touch the back of the ferrule, which is where the tip meets the bristles. I mean, where the brush meets the bristles here, and that will suck out some of the water and leave pigment there, so that you don't have too much on your brush. Yep, one color.
True. I think you agree. We have to say big thanks also to all the volunteers.
Yes.
They've been so nice.
A huge thank you. Yes.
Very. Thank you. Very nice.
Ida, do you have one more painting in you?
No, I have no more paper. No, sorry. No, I have no time because we are almost at the end. But
Well,
I think.
we have 25 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, you shouldn't say that.
I think you have another
Me?
painting in you.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Sure. Tell me. You want to know about the brushes? Okay. Those are, if you want to know, the name is Eren, this one. And it's from Korea. And I usually buy it during the FabrianoInAcquarello show, when the international show in Bologna or in Fabriano. And also this one. But this one, it's a goat also. It's a little bit harder, but the way they use it and that they mount the brush, it's so soft and it helps so much. And I use it a lot because when I have to be like the sky, you see this, I was using very softly shade. It doesn't, but so I used to have this one, but it's a synthetic one. This is much better, okay? But it's from Korea. Or you can order online, okay? It's no, this is Erin, Herind. No, Erin, stop. And then there is a sign, but it's not a word. And this is F1700. And the second one, the smaller one, is 5F1200. Soft, flat brush. That's the name. Korea. You will find it online. And this one also, since you understand why I'm using the big size, because if I work on a big sheet, it would be very dangerous to use a small size. You make a stripe instead of, okay? Then I also use for the small detail to make branches. This one that is from Borgiani e Bonazzi, that is here. And it's Unico Infinito, and it's a liner. This I use it also to make the flower, this part here. Very soft, but this one you have to be very delicate. I mean, if you go like this, it bends too much. You have to understand the distance between your arm and your piece of paper. But it helps a lot. Porciani Bonazzi is the brand that you can find in front of the theater, and the name is Unico Infinito. And it's the type is liner, because they have also this type. You can see here in different size, but this is the liner. You see how narrow is the point, very long. Okay, you're welcome. One suggestion, if I may, if you use dryer, basically, if I can, I'd never use dryer, but sometimes you have to. Now I'm quite close because it's almost dry. But if you have silk color very wet, do not stay like this. Just stay very high and quick moving, because you can ruin your stroke. So be careful.
Okay. Yeah.
The synthetic. Oh, this one, the Chinese one, still is gold type. There is a short one, but this is a gift. I didn't buy it. I may say that on Amazon you can find things like that. Yeah, they don't cost too much. You can take a picture if you want. Sure. There is also Chinese word, but I cannot tell. But maybe you tag the red tag can help. Yeah, the one that you can open up like this. You don't have to use it to wet. It has to be just enough wet to pick up the color. And so when you go just parallel to your not like this, but like this, it can open it. This is the shorter type, but the same. It comes longer and shorter. Yeah, you're welcome. Now I have to joke with Lauren. He said, "You are doing in 1 hour the big size," and I said, "Yes." No, I said, and now I can say, "Lauren, I did it 3."
Yep.
You make me feel very comfortable anyway. Thank you.
Yes, that's one thing. One thing that I think all of us have seen and appreciated, if you've been here for one day or even um, the whole time, is how close the watercolor community is, and how encouraging people are, and how much we rally behind each other and enjoy each other's work, and take pleasure in what other people enjoy. So it's a very welcoming community, very generous community, and it's just fun to be, with watercolor artists, and especially meeting folks from around the world. Art is a universal language. We might not speak the same language. We're in a time right now that's very divisive, and there are a lot of dividing things, but art is something that everybody speaks, everybody understands, and that can pull us all together in a time, that sometimes feels divisive. But it's wonderful. Okay, thank you.
This one, sure. Oh, flower. Okay. If you noticed, the sign that you saw so sharp now is softer. Even the central part became so soft with the water. Because watercolor is changing, particularly the big size. When you have a lot of water, you don't have to leave it. You have to control what's going on. Because with water, when the pigment find water, it runs away. So you have to control. If you like it, you leave it. But if you don't, you have to manage. Pardon me? Oh, come. Can you see it? You're welcome. But you don't have to. It's yours. Someone needs to take more picture of this.
When you use masking fluid, a lot of times you have to come back and soften your edges,
See it?
and you have to do a lot of fixing and cleaning up. That's the trade-off of using it. Found that I dropped some little pieces, some little bits of paint and things like that, but you can use a scrubber brush to get that out. And this one I've really found is be great is called a Princeton Velvet Touch Chisel Blender, and it has a very short bristles, and they're very skinny profile. And so I can get in there and I can scrub tiny little things with it. You can also use other scrubbers, but this is softer than a scrubber and it doesn't really damage the paper. That's one of the things to think about with the staining and the non-staining colors is a staining color means that it's when you put it on there, it's gonna go down into the fibers and it's gonna be a lot harder for you to get it out. So a non-staining, you can pull that out a lot better. So it's something to think ahead of if you know you're going to be pulling a lot of things out. So, is it time? Okay. All right. Ida, are we both finished? Are we both
Yes,
pretty
I am.
finished? Okay. Well, we can say that we're finished here, and thank you guys so much for coming.
Please.
See if I can get my paper off of here.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. This is not finished. But anyway,
Well, of course, there are two completely different techniques.
right. So we'll just
That's the
go with
way we
this.
can do watercolor, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Really enjoy that. So. So thank you guys for coming. Come up and meet us. We want to meet all of you, everybody. So
If you want to come and closer and see our
Yep.
stuff, you can come, please.
And also, Ida, I'd like to give you something as well.